Cooper Lutkenhaus is 17 years old. He is still in high school, and he just ran 1:43.48 to win a national title against grown professional runners. Not close, not lucky. He won by over a second, the biggest margin in 12 years. A former world champion couldn't even make the final. So how is a high schooler already controlling the 800 meters? Let's break it down. Cooper Lutkenhaus is a high school senior from Justin, Texas. He trains between classes, he does homework on team buses, and on the biggest stage in American track, he ran like none of that mattered. At the USATF Outdoor Championships in New York, Lutkenhaus crossed the finish line in 1:43.48. That is the men's 800 meters national title. Not a junior race, not a high school meet. The actual United States Championship against the best professional runners in the country. He did not just win it. He crushed it. His margin of victory was 1.07 seconds over the second-place finisher. In the 800 meters, that gap is massive. It was the largest winning margin in a U.S. men's outdoor 800 meters final in 12 years. Think about that for a second. A 17-year-old lined up against grown men who train full-time for a living, and he made it look easy. This wasn't a weak field. This was one of the deepest 800 meters fields in the country. Wes Ferguson finished second in 1:44.55, more than a second behind. Hobbs Kessler, a 2024 Olympian, finished third in 1:45. Christian Jackson and Andrew Casey rounded out the top 5. These are not names you find at a random weekend race. These are professionals who have competed on the world stage. And here is the part that makes this story bigger. Donovan Brazier, the 2019 world champion, was also in this championship. Brazier had actually beaten Lutkenhaus the year before by just 11/100ths of a second in a final so close it was called epic. Fans expected a rematch. It never happened. Brazier didn't even make it out of the semifinal round. He finished fourth in his heat and was eliminated before the final even started. So the one man who had beaten Lutkenhaus before was gone, and the teenager ran through the rest of the field like they were standing still. Races like this are usually close until the final stretch. This one was not. Lutkenhaus stayed patient through the first half, letting the pace stay controlled. Then, with about 250 meters left, he made his move. He pulled away from the pack and never looked back. By the time he crossed the line, the rest of the field wasn't even in the picture. This is the same pattern that has defined his entire season. He does not panic in the middle of a race. He waits, reads the field, and then breaks it open in the final stretch. Professional runners with years of experience could not answer that move. A high schooler did it to them in front of a packed stadium. To understand how a teenager reached this level, you have to go back further than this year. Lutkenhaus comes from a running family. His father was a state runner-up in the 1600 meters back in his own high school days. His older brother also ran at a high level, finishing fourth at the state meet and running well at the National High School Championships. Running was already in the house before Cooper ever stepped on a track as a serious competitor. But even with that background, nobody expected what came next. Back in middle school, Lutkenhaus was already winning national age group titles in the 400 meters and 800 meters by wide margins. His own family noticed something was different and decided to commit fully to track instead of other sports. By his sophomore year of high school, he was already breaking indoor national high school records against college runners. He once raced against college athletes at a regular college meet and set a new national record for his age group in the process. A few weeks later, at a major indoor meet in New York, he ran against full-time professionals and broke the national high school record in the 800 meters, a record that had stood for years. The next year, at just 16 years old, he ran 1:42.27 at the U.S. National Championships. That time broke a U18 world record that had stood since the 2012 Olympics, a record that had survived for well over a decade. He was still in high school, and he had already run faster than almost every teenager in history. That same race is where he first went head-to-head with Donovan Brazier, finishing right behind him and putting the entire sport on notice that a high schooler could hang with a world champion. A few weeks after that, at 16 years old, he became the youngest American ever to compete at a world track and field championship. Most kids his age were worried about final exams. He was lining up against grown men on the biggest stage the sport has. Here is what makes this even harder to believe. This national title wasn't a surprise breakout. It was the finishing piece of a goal Lutkenhaus set for himself at the start of the year. He wanted to win the U.S. indoor title and the U.S. outdoor title in the same year. Earlier in the season, he already won the indoor 800 meters national championship. This outdoor win completed that sweep. 2 national titles, indoors and outdoors, in the same year as a kid who still has a high school schedule to follow. After the race, Lutkenhaus said he had been working all year for this exact moment, and that becoming both the indoor and outdoor champion was his main goal from the start. That is not the mindset of a kid hoping to get lucky. That is the mindset of someone who expected to win. He even rated his first full year competing as a professional a 9, 5 out of 10, saying he only wants to wait and see what the last half point could have been. As big as this national title is, it might not even be the most impressive thing Lutkenhaus has done this year. Months before this race, he competed at the World Indoor Championships and won gold. That made him the youngest individual world champion in the history of track and field, indoors or outdoors. Not the youngest American, the youngest person, period, from any country to ever win an individual world title in this sport. Then he kept going. At a Diamond League meet in Oslo, one of the most competitive track meets on the planet, Lutkenhaus posted the world's leading time of the year in the 800 meters. In that same race, he beat the reigning Olympic champion in the event. A high schooler beat an Olympic champion in a Diamond League final. Then he came home and won the U.S. national title by over a second. This is not a kid who got hot for one race. This is a kid who has been rewriting what is possible at his age for an entire year. Just 1 year earlier, at this exact same U.S. championship meet, Lutkenhaus finished in second place. He was barely known outside of track circles. He was a promising 16-year-old, not a headline. 12 months later, he came back to that same meet as the reigning world indoor champion. And he didn't just win, he dominated with the biggest margin the race has seen in over a decade. That jump from a quiet second-place finish to controlling the biggest domestic race in the sport happened in a single year, while he was still going to high school every day. In between those 2 races, he added a World Championship gold medal, a Diamond League win over an Olympic champion, and a World U18 record. Most professional runners spend an entire career chasing one of those achievements. He stacked all of them in 12 months, while still living at home and running for his high school team on the side. After the win, Lutkenhaus made it clear this chapter is closing for now. He said this was his final race for about 6 months, and that he wanted to end the outdoor season on a high note. His next competition is expected to be the indoor season. That means fans will not see him race again for a while. But it also means he gets time to grow, add strength, and come back even more dangerous. Every time this has happened before, indoor season, then outdoor season, then a world title, he has returned faster than the last time. The scariest part for the rest of the field is simple. He is still growing. He is still in high school, and he has already beaten Olympic champions, world champions, and now an entire national championship field by the widest margin in 12 years. If this is what a 17-year-old looks like right now, the real question is not whether he can keep winning. The question is how far ahead of everyone else he will be once he actually finishes growing up.